Okay, so am I audible? Okay, great. So we'll be waiting for some more time and we'll starting at 8:05 exactly. So you can call your friends, those who are not present. Good evening everyone. So we'll be starting in 1 or 2 minutes more. So meanwhile, if any of you have doubts from the previous session, you can ask it in the chat. Okay, so let's begin today's session. A very warm welcome to those watching this presentation and a very good evening to all the live attendees. I am Harshit Agarwal, a second year member of Cyberlab's Web Division. Today we will be covering the basics of JavaScript, which is the most used programming language for website development. So talking about the prerequisites for today's session, there ain't any such prerequisites. You just need to have the basic knowledge of HTML and CSS. And even if you haven't watched our previous session, it's completely all right because today we'll be covering everything from scratch and most of the things will be new. And moreover, we'll be having some code alongs in this session so you can be interactive in the chat and we'll try our best not to keep it as boring as our online lectures. So keep your pen and paper ready and keep asking your doubts in the chat below. So beginning with what is JavaScript? JavaScript is a scripting language which enables us to create dynamic web content. So what does this statement mean? We get two new words from this statement: scripting language and dynamic web content. Scripting language means a programming language which is interpreted at runtime. Means it is not compiled but directly interpreted at runtime, unlike other languages like C, C++, or Java. Python, for example, is also a scripting language. Now, what is dynamic web content? You might have seen some websites like blogs, documentation, where there is only website design and there is no as such dynamic content where you need to log in, log out, or submit a contact form. So, where dynamic web content is required, JavaScript comes there into play. JavaScript is nothing but it gives life to a website. In the previous session, we learned that the three pillars of websites are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML provides the basic skeleton of our website. CSS gives basic design, the outward appearance of website, and JavaScript gives life to our website. It provides the basic functionality and makes our website interactive. Just as what is the difference between a statue and a human? We can make a statue look alike just as a human, but a statue cannot have a movement in it. So that's what JavaScript does to our website. And there might be a question that why JavaScript? We can use other programming languages like Python is also used for website development. But why JavaScript? So let me tell you that JavaScript is used in more than 97% of websites on the internet. And when you go forward and make advanced web applications, you will be using JavaScript in both your front end and back end. And more than 99% of your tech stack in website will be JavaScript. So that's what the power of JavaScript is. Moving on, let's talk about some brief history of JavaScript. So before 1995, JavaScript means website those days lacked the dynamic nature. So JavaScript was created at Netscape Communications by Brendan Eich in 1995. So what happened in those days that there was a company named Netscape and developers all around wanted a programming language which could create dynamic web content. So it is believed that this developer at Netscape, Brendan Eich, he developed this programming language called LiveScript initially in almost 10 days. So you can imagine how many bugs it had contained. So Netscape launched its browser navigator incorporated with JS in 1995. Just as we have Google Chrome, which is the browser by Google. Similarly, Netscape in those days launched its browser navigator. And similarly, in those days, Microsoft was launching its own browser, Internet Explorer. So what happened? There was a browser war between these two. दोनों के बीच में झगड़ा होने लग गया कि मैं कौन सा प्रोडक्ट ज्यादा अच्छा है. So what Microsoft did, he Microsoft reverse engineered JavaScript and created JScript. So here problem arises. What happened that there were two languages now, JavaScript and JScript. And now developers who wanted to contribute to both language weren't able to do it. So so they decided to standardize JavaScript. So it was further developed by ECMA, that is European Computer Manufacturers Association, and hence it is also called ECMA script or ECMA script. So versions of JavaScript which you see today, like ES5, ES6, ES7, they in that ES means ECMA script, which is ECMA script. So this was the brief theory. And now most important thing which many of you get confused, Java and JavaScript. When I started web development, I also was very confused that there might be some relation between Java and JavaScript because they look so similar, like C and C++. I also thought that JavaScript might be a superset of Java, but this is not the thing. Java and JavaScript are completely different languages. They means JavaScript is a object based scripting language, whereas Java is completely different. It is an object oriented programming language. So if you are thinking that there is a relation between Java and JavaScript, you are absolutely wrong. There is absolutely no such relation between them. They are completely different standalone programming languages. So enough of talking. Now let's get into some coding part. Before that, I will be showing you one of the things which we didn't cover in the previous session. So this is when I will be talking now about the Chrome developer tools. So what is Chrome developer tools? You see a three dots here at the top right corner of your screen. When you click it, you can find an option called More Tools. When you go to More Tools, you will be seeing developer tools there. As soon as you click it, a pop-up appears here where you can see all these things: elements, console, sources. So now what is the use of this? This is called Chrome developer tools. In Chrome developer tools, you might be seeing elements here, there are styles here. So let's see what is Chrome developer tool. You might be seeing a magnifying thing here which says select an element in the page to inspect it. When you click it, you might be seeing some things happening on the home page. So when I go to this Google logo, I see something written as div hashtag logo. So what is this div hashtag logo? When I click it, I see in this elements tag that I get a div element here with the ID of logo. So this is nothing but a way of selecting elements which are present on the home page. Div is the element and logo is the ID. So how did I come to know that this is the ID? Because logo is preceded by hash. And in the previous session, we learned that hash is the hash is the selector for ID. If you see here, you will be seeing div dot tile icon. So why tile icon is a class? Because it is preceded by a dot, and dot is the selector of the class. So now in the styles we will see. So styles is the CSS part of this developer tools. When I click here, I can see all those styles which are applied to this div tile icon here. So this is all the styles. This is the class tile icon, and all the styles which are applied to it can be seen here. So why is this developer tools used? Suppose you have created a website and you want to test how my website is looking with these particular colors and these particular border radius. So you can come here and look. Now you can change them. Suppose I untick this background color. So see the color of this disappears. Now suppose don't like this color white, some whitish types. I want to make it red. So double click it and then type red. So see, all of these changed to red. Now you might be asking, I just changed the color of this one red, but why did all these things change to red? So your answer is because I changed the color of red in the class style icon, and all these div elements have been applied the class of tile icon. So that's why the color of all these four have changed. Now suppose the Google is written here. I don't want Google to be here. I want this should be my website and I want my name should be here. So before that, the this is the console. Console is basically the JavaScript part where Java's you can type JavaScript here and it will be executed here. Suppose I type 25, it will return 25. Suppose I write 6 plus 6 and it will return 12. So elements is the HTML part of our website. This styles is the CSS part and console is the JavaScript part. Now I will be showing this in the website which we made in the previous session. This website we made in the previous session. So I will be opening it. Okay, so this was the website which we designed in the previous session. So let's look into what are the elements present in it. And one more thing, you can open this developer tools with one more option. You right click on the page, you can see inspect option here. So as soon as you click inspect, this developer tool opens. So similarly, I click this icon here, and now when I go into this, I can see that this is the H1 tab. This is the paragraph tag with the ID second para. This is the image tag. Now suppose I didn't like this color yellow. I want to change it to some suppose blue. So I go here, I click it and I got the first para. So these are the styles applied to the first para. When now I want it to be blue. So I double click it and it changes to blue. Now you might be thinking that I changed it permanently to blue, but this is not so. As soon as you refresh the website, it will change again to yellow. So this is just for debugging purposes so that you can see how my website looks with different colors. Okay, so now suppose I have written this is the heading. I don't want, I want to change it. I don't want, want to write something else here. So you come here, you can right click and edit as HTML. As soon as you click it, now you will be able to edit this part. Now suppose I want to write here heading 1. So as soon as I click it, as soon as you click outside of it, this will be changed. This is the heading 1. But this will not be changed in the source code of this website. So this you have to keep in mind that this developer tools is just for debugging purposes. Now I will show one last thing that if you go to W3 School's website, so similarly here also you can change different colors here. Like you click inspect and you get this icon here. You go here and you see all these things appear, all these styles. If you want to change the inner text, you can change here. Login it is written. You can right click, edit as HTML, and then see, this is the login part. So I suppose I don't want to log in, I want to log out. So I write log out here. I click outside of it and this changes to log out. So if you think that you might have hacked Google Chrome or something like this, so it might not be so, because on refreshing it will change again. So this was about the Chrome developer tools. Now, okay. So what can JavaScript do? Let's get into this. JavaScript can change HTML content attribute values. It can change CSS styles. It can show hide elements. It defines functionality to a button. With the help of JavaScript, we can get incredible animations. So what does this mean? Let's again go to W3 Schools website. So I right click here, I again inspect it. So you might be seeing that this hamburger sign appears here. As soon as you click it, you might be seeing this content chan appears here. And when you click outside of it, it disappears. So this is the JavaScript part, wherein you are providing the information that as soon as I click outside of this tab, it should get closed. Now suppose I go down here and here it is written, click me to display date and time. As soon as I click it, it gives me the current date and time. So now is 2022, so it's showing 2022. Now again, when I click it, the seconds changes. Again, if I click it, the second changes. So this is what JavaScript does. It defines functionality to a button. And one more thing, which is very interesting, is that you can see a light bulb here. Light, when I click on turn on the light, that it changes. The color of this light changes and it seems as if it is turned on. And when I click on turn off the light, it changes again and it seems that it is turned off. So that's what JavaScript does. It can provide functionality to a button. It can change HTML content, styles, and whatever you want, you can do with JavaScript. If you want some cool animations, we can go to Cyberlab's website. So this is the animation which you see here is all because of JavaScript. So these are some cool stuffs which you can do with JavaScript. Now, how to do these cool stuffs? Let's get into this. Where to include it? So for this, let me switch to my VS Code, and here I will show you. Okay, so let's create a new file. Clicking here, you can create a new file, and let's name it main.html. Okay. So in the previous section, you might have learned about this boilerplate. As soon as I click exclamation mark, I can see some Emmet abbreviation here. So I click enter and all my basic things which I require in my HTML part are printed here. So in body, I will be writing a very basic tag, that is h3. I will write this is heading. Okay, so now, okay, so let me show you one more feature of VS Code. If you go here, you might be seeing extensions tab. As soon as you go to extensions and search here live server, so you get live server here. You might be getting install here, but since I've installed, I'm getting uninstall. So what does this live server do? There is a very big problem that when you are doing website development, you change something here in the source code, and in the browser you have to go again and refresh the page. So live server eliminates this problem of yours. So when you install live server, you will get a go live option here. As soon as you click on go live, you will be seeing this. It opens in my local host main.html and I can see all this. Now if I change something, suppose I write here, this is a new heading. So it changes automatically. I didn't have to refresh the page anymore. So you can download this extension. It is a very useful extension, and I personally also use it a lot. So let's open it in Chrome. Okay, leave it, let it be. So yes, I wanted to include JS in my part. So I will go into VS Code. Under the body, I will write a new tag, which is script. So you can see two things here, script and script source. So first we'll be using script. So I click on script. So now whatever JS we have to write, we will write in this script tag. So let's learn a new function, console.log, and we'll be following the ancient culture of coding. We'll be printing hello world. Okay. I put a semicolon here and I go to my website. I don't have to click refresh. And if I click inspect, I go to my console and see I got hello world here. So let's make it here. Yes, so you can see hello world. So what is this console.log? Console.log is a function in JavaScript wherein you can print something in the console. What is this console.log used for? Because nobody in your website will come and see your console what you are printing there. So console.log is again used mainly for debugging purposes, wherein you have a variable and you have to see what value it has got. So all these variables and stuff we will be discussing very soon in this session only. So one more thing, there is one more function named as alert. So if I click alert, again write hello world, semicolon here, and I again go here. Now it says, see, it says hello world. So what is this alert? You might have seen many websites having some pop-up like this when you do something, means like you click on log out, then a pop-up appears. Do you want to log out? So this is what alert does. It creates a pop-up here and asks help, like something like this. So you click on OK and then it disappears. If I click on refresh, so first alert is executed and you cannot do anything else on your screen before. So when you click OK, only then you can see your contents on this HTML. So we did alert, and one more thing is document.write. So we write document.write and we write again, suppose again hello world. Now I go in the website. Okay, let's comment it out. So this, it is a shortcut feature of JavaScript, and when you click right control and slash, which is the division tab, this one, CTRL plus this one. When you click this in this line here, you will be getting control plus slash. So this is the comments. So means this part will not be executed. Only this and this will be executed in the JavaScript. So cross it, I refresh it. So why am I not getting anything? Okay. So see, I got hello world. So this is what some output things are there in JavaScript. And now there is one more method to include JavaScript in our file. So what we will do, we will create a new file, and this is known as external JavaScript. We will be making main.js, and here this is a perfect JavaScript file. You don't have to write any script or all anything here. You can directly go to this main.html. You all copy this and paste here. So this will be working just as it was working in this script, but externally. So if I go here again, okay, so why this is not working, let me tell you. If I go here, inspect, uh, I'm not seeing anything in the console as well. So what am I missing? So I go here main.html. Now we will be using this script source. This script source is made for external JavaScript files where we have to apply the script. The source is the path of the this JS file. So since this is in the same folder as the main.html, so we'll be just writing the path, that is, and we get the suggestions. So this is the feature of VS Code. So I want main.js. I will be writing this. And this I have linked it to my main.js file, just as you link external CSS file shape. And this, so I get hello world here, I get hello world here. Okay. So this is some of the output methods in JavaScript. So let's move on to the presentation. Okay, so where to include JS? You have seen this in HTML. JavaScript code is inserted between script and these tags, placing scripts at bottom of the body element. Okay, so could have placed this script tag at in the body itself, or in the head also I could have inserted the script tag. Why did I insert it below the body? So what JavaScript does is that it executes. I told you in the beginning that it is a scripting language, means it's interpreted. So interpreted means means the program is run line by line. So it starts from here, doc type HTML, it goes on here. So if I place script file here, it will first execute my main.js and then it will show my H3 tab. So to tell the JavaScript interpreter, no, that this JS, I want my H3 tab first, and then I will show my JavaScript. So we write this JavaScript below the body tag so that the display speed reduces. It improves the display speed because script interpretation slows down the display. So that's why we place script at the bottom of the body tag so that the display speed is fine and we get the content as fast as possible. So similarly, like what we have written JavaScript here, we can write JavaScript here as well. So if we write console.log here, hello world, we are getting hello world here as well. So this console is similarly to work with JavaScript. If we write alert here, we write hello, we'll get alert here as well. So you might be wondering why we are getting these undefined here. So this is because we are not externally returning something. We are already in the console and we are already using this console.log here. So what is the use of using console.log when we are already in the console? We could have just written hello world like this. Hello world like this. And we got hello world here as well. So that's why undefined is returned, because we are using console.log inside console. So it's just like using print inside of print. So to clear, I will use like console.log and I will again do console.log. If I print hello like this, it should return me undefined 2 times. See, so we are returning undefined 2 times because first it prints hello, then it goes to console.log. But we are already in the console, so we are not returning something. So it returns undefined, and again there is a console, so it returns undefined again. So that's why we are getting undefined here. So we go on to the presentation. This is the second method wherein we are including the external JS file, and forgot to told you about the advantage of external JS file is that this is just a single HTML file. Now, suppose if I wanted the same JS file in my index.html as well. So what I had to do, I had to take those script elements from here, copy and again paste it here. Now what I have to do, I just have to link my main.js to index.html and I will be good to go. Like, link here main.js and see I will be getting the same thing for use in. So if I will be using inspect, so hello world I'm getting here as well. So that's the advantage of using external JS files. So let me, okay, let's, so, so we saw how to include JS files, and this is outputting in JS. So JavaScript can display. So we in an HTML we will see, and we saw document.write, window.alert, we saw console.log, and inner HTML it actually requires DOM properties, which we'll be covering later in the session. So just to show you, I will be like using it. Suppose, okay, let's give this a ID. I add this h3 tag here, which is my heading. Yes, okay. So I will be giving it the ID is equal to, let's say, heading. Okay. So now I go to my JS file. Let's remove this document.write. And now we'll be using a method called document.get element by ID. So this is the property of DOM which will be covered later in this session. So to just show you about what is inner HTML, so document get element by ID. So what we are doing, we are selecting the ID. We are selecting this h3 bytes ID. So we will provide its ID here, which is heading. And to change its content, we will be using .inner HTML. And suppose we want to change it to new heading. Okay. So it should have changed. Yes, see. So it changed here, new heading. So similarly, you can change other HTML content as well. So what we saw in the presentation, we can change HTML content. JavaScript can change HTML content. So this is how we change HTML content in our code. We use the inner HTML property and the DOM as well to change the inner HTML. Similarly, instead of ID, we can use class, we can use tag. So that will be covered later in the DOM section. So till here, if anyone have doubt in the developer tools or in outputting, you can write in the chat. Or if everything is clear, you can write +1. Okay, I can see a bunch of +1s, so that's great. Okay, so we saw outputting also. So let's see what inputting. Inputting को क्यों छोड़े, गुस्सा हो जाएगा. चलो input भी देख लेते हैं. So prompt. So there is a function named prompt. So let's use. Okay, let's write var. I will be explaining what var is later. Var x is equal to, let's write prompt, and let's say enter your name. Okay, so we enter. Okay, so we will be getting this dialog box which says enter your name. So let me enter Harshit. I click OK, and now when I click X, I get Harshit as the output. So this X here stores the name, which I entered here, and it returns me Harshit. So you might not have seen such input anywhere in the website, and you will not be using this as well. We will be mostly using input from the form elements. So this is just to show that you can use this property as well somewhere if you require. You will be not using this often, but just to have knowledge, I showed you. Okay, so let's move on to the interesting part now of tokens. So tokens is the smallest individual words, phrases, or characters that JavaScript can understand. So you can see in this picture, I have written var foo is equal to 22. So what is this var foo 22? So var is the keyword. Keyword used to declare variables. What is a variable? We will be seeing this in the next slide. Identify. Okay, so identifiers. JavaScript variables are declared using var, let, or const. What is a variable? Variable is something which can be used to store some data which we are fetching from user or for our purpose as well. Variables are used to store some data, whether it be number, string, alphabets, anything. So all JavaScript variables must be identified with unique names. These unique names are called identifiers. So in the previous slide where you see foo identifier, this is nothing but a variable. And here where I used var x, so I declared a variable x with the help of var. Var is used to declare variable. You can declare variable using var, let, or const. So you might be using where are int string. If anyone have learned programming previously, they might be wondering where is int string. So let me tell you that in JavaScript you can declare variables of any type using just var. Means that the variables are not made to contain a particular data type. Any variable can contain anything. If I write var x is equal to 22, it now has the value of 22, but later I can assign it a string as well, suppose cyberlab. So if I assign it like this, I get cyberlab. So there is no such hard and first rule that you have to use a variable with a number type only. You can use number, string, anything if you want. So there's some conditions of naming variables, like names can contain letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs. Names must begin with a letter. Names can also begin with dollar and underscore. Names are case sensitive. Reserved words cannot be used as names. So what are reserved words? So let me go to the W3 Schools website. So if I write here, if I write JS keywords, yes, so you can see JavaScript reserved words here. So these are the words which are reserved by JavaScript for its own purpose, and you cannot use as a variable for your own need. Like this, default, delete, everything has its own purpose. For, function, interface, native, all these are reserved words. And reserved words cannot be used as variable names. So these are some examples like camel case. So I don't think any rule is being violated in all these four. So you can use underscore in the beginning, in or in the middle. You can use capital. You can use small wherever you want. So here comes the first predicting the output. So you there are six variables. So you need to tell which one is a variable, means which one doesn't violate any rule and which one violates the rule. So first tell about dollar underscore dollar. Will it be a variable? And please don't use console for checking it. You can write in the chat whether dollar underscore dollar will be a valid variable or not. Okay, yes, no, yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's see. If I write var dollar underscore dollar is equal to something, let's say 22. I don't get any error. So it means it is a valid variable. So let's see, it can names can also begin with W and underscore. So dollar and underscore. So it's beginning with dollar underscore, so it's not violating any rule. So what about fast and furious? Whether it's violating rule, can it be a valid variable? Fast and furious. Okay, no violating. No. Okay, so fast and furious, if we see, names can contain letters, digits, underscore, and dollar sign. But this variable is containing ampersand sign, which is a strict violation of the first rule that it should only contain letters, digits, underscore, and dollar sign. So since we are using and here, so it will give us an error like this, where suppose I write fast and furious, and if I use something like 22, it will give me an error saying unexpected token and. So the console identifies this as an error and returns it as a syntax error. So total percent, whether it is a variable or not. Total percent, no. Okay, someone wrote yes. No. Percent not. Okay, so that's correct. So similarly, like and, we cannot use any other special sign like percent also. This total percent will also give an error similar to this, where it will be same. It will give unexpected token percent equals. So we cannot use percent in variable name. So let's move on to the next one, web dev. Whether this web dev will be violating the rule. So keep in mind you are in a web dev session as well. So सोच समझ के आंसर देना. Okay, no space. Okay, so you all are correct. We cannot use spacebar here. So it must be a single word only. You cannot use multiple words in a variable. So whether var will be a valid variable or not. Try to write var is equal to, I will get an error unexpected token var. So you are correct that var cannot be a valid variable. So the final one, capital var, whether it will be a variable or not. Okay, capital var is valid. Yes. Yes, JavaScript is case sensitive. It is the fourth point in the rules. Okay, so you all are correct. Var is also a valid variable because JavaScript is case sensitive, just as mentioned in the fourth point. Y and capital Y are different variables. So capital var will be a valid variable. So we got to know about the variables part. Moving on to operators. So there are mainly three types of operator: arithmetic, assignment, and relational. So plus, minus, into, division, I think they are basic, so I won't be discussing them. You can write like 2 by 3 and it will return you zero point 0.6. Unlike C and C++, where you might have got 0 there, JavaScript will return everything to in means it will not convert it in the integer part. It will return it whatever the actual value of it is. So 2 by, now we have another operator called exponential. So 2 3, it will return 8 because 2 to the power 3 is 8. So that's what exponentiation is. And modulus, if you don't know what modulus is, if I write 2 mod 3, it gives me 2 because modulus is just like remainder. If you divide 2 by 3, we will be getting 2 as remainder. So that's 2 is returned. If I write 5 mod 4, it returns me 1 because 4 1 to 4. So we'll be getting 1 as a remainder. We got, okay, so increment and decrement. What is increment and decrement? So let's say I define a variable where a is equal to 5. Okay. Now if I write a plus plus, it gives me the output as 5. But now if I write a plus plus, now what is this a plus plus? A, if I tell you plus plus and minus minus is just a unary operator, means it works only on one operand. Unlike this mod and plus minus, they work on two operands. So if I write a plus plus, what will it do? It will first print the value and then it will change it to plus 1. So if I write 5 plus plus, it will be first printing my 5 and then it will change it to 5 plus 1 6. Unlike this, if I write plus plus a, what will it do? It will return me 7 because a has changed its value to 6. And after this, if I write plus plus a, it will return me 7. And if I again write a, it will still remain 7. So what is a plus plus and plus plus a? If I write plus plus after the operand, it is postfix operator. And what will it do? It will first print the value and then it will change the value. And plus plus a is the prefix operator and it will first change the value and then it will print the value. So if you are having confusion, so let's take the example of minus minus. The same thing is it minus minus. Let me define a new variable where b is equal to 10. So if I write postfix decrement, if I write b minus minus, it will first print the value and then change. So if I write b minus minus, it will return me 10. And if I write b again, it will return me 9 because first it will print the value and then it will return the value. So first it got printed 10 and then it changed it to b minus 1 and now it is printed 9. And similarly, if I write minus minus b, it will be returning 8 because first it decremented the value and then it printed the value. So I guess postfix prefix is clear. Let me give an example to make it more clear. Where a is equal to 5, let's say, suppose. And if I write console.log a plus plus प्लस प्लस ए। जल्दी आंसर बता दो क्या होगा। अच्छा हम तो आंसर बता। ओके so never mind, I'll give one more question. Let's say a minus, okay so let's define where b is equals to 10, and if I write minus, okay, I write console.log minus minus b divided by b minus minus. So you can tell me the output, what will be output of this? Minus minus b divided by b minus minus. And also tell me what will be the value of b after this statement is executed. Okay, value of b is 8. Okay, so let's hit enter and let's see what we are getting. Okay, we got one. So you are right. So let's see why it happened. So initially b is 10, and when I write minus minus b, it changes to first 9 and then it prints. So it changes to 9 divided by, now the current value of b is 9, and when I write b minus minus, so it will first print the value 9 and then it changes to 8. So if I write 9 by 9, it gives me 1, and if I print b, it will give me 8. So you all are correct that 9 by 9 will give 1, and then after the value of b will be 8. So we saw arithmetic operators. Now see, let's see assignment operators. Assignment operators, like you might have seen assignment operators already here, like where a is equal to 5, where we are assigning the value of 5. So that's what equals to does. It doesn't check whether a is 5 or not. It will assign a value 5 to a. And there are some shorthand operators like plus equals to. So what plus equals to does, let me show you. 5 plus equals to 6 if I write. Okay, so it will not be like this. Where x equals to 5, write x plus equals to 6 will give me 11. So x plus equals to is just a shorthand operator. It will expand to x equals to x plus 6. So it is just a different way of writing x equal to x plus 6 and x plus equals to 6. So similarly, there are other shorthand operators like minus equals to, into is equal to, by is equal to. All will return the same thing. So moving on to the relational operators. Relational operators. Okay, so you will be seeing here there are 2 equals to, and 3 equals to. No. So now this is the new thing in JavaScript. Okay, if I write 2 is equals to 2, it is obviously true because equals to checks the equality of both sides, whether they are true or not. So now if I write 2 triple equals to 2, this is also returning true. So what is the difference? Now let's suppose I write 2 triple equals to, and if I write 2 in string form, it will return me false. But if I write 2 double equals to, string form of 2, it will return me true. So what is this problem? What double equals to does is that it will neglect the data type of the both sides. Suppose that 2 is a number form, and this 2 right here is of the string form. So what double equals to does is it neglects the data type of both sides, and triple equals to what it does is it will see if the data type is also equal and if the value is also equal. So that's why triple equals to is also called strict equals, and this double equals is only equals to. Similarly, we have not equal and strict not equals. They also do the same thing. Now let's suppose I write 56, and if I write equals to 50, let's say I write 48 plus 8, it will give me false because the data types on both sides are different. But if I write something like this, 56 not equals to 48 plus 8, it will return me true because the data type on both sides are different. So that's why it is returning true. But if I write for 56 not equals to 48 plus 8, it will also return true. So we see greater than, less than. These are simple things. So we saw the operator here, and now we will see some other operators that like there are logical operators, bitwise operators. So you can explore these things on your own because logical operators are used frequently, but bitwise will not be used so much in your development field. And one more thing, there is a term called operator precedence and associativity. So let's see what it is. Okay, so here you see a very long table of many operators. So what is this operator precedence? As you can see here, the order in which operators are evaluated in an expression is referred to as operator precedence. Just as you did BODMAS in lower classes, this is also a BODMAS. I won't say BODMAS, but precedence operators in which bracket will be evaluated first, then plus plus, then minus, then by, into, plus. So these are the order in which if there are multiple operators in an expression, this order will be followed here. So this is operator precedence. And what is associativity? Associativity is nothing, just expression evaluation is also influenced by associativity, means the direction in which the entire expression is evaluated. Now let's say suppose I have here into, let's see here. So these have the precedence 3, 3 and 3. So if I have all three in my expression, in which order will it be evaluated? So this rule is justified by associativity, that if all three are present, then associativity will be from left to right. That means whichever expression will be the left, whichever operator will be the leftmost will be evaluated the first, and the rightmost will be evaluated at the last. So if I give an example, like let's say suppose 7 plus 5 into 2. So 5 into 2 will be evaluated first because 5 into 2 10 and then 17. It will not be like 7 plus 5 12 into 2, which is 24. So if we want to print 24, so we will have to make it into brackets, 7 plus 5 into 2. So now we will get 24. So I hope this will be clear. Let's have an example in this. So if I write var x equals to 100 plus 21 by 10 minus 3 into 10. So you can write in the chat box, what will be the output of this expression right here. Okay, I get 72.1. Anyone else? 72. Okay. 72.1, 72.1. Okay, so some are saying 72, some are saying 72.1. Okay, so let's see what will it give. And if I write x, it is giving me 72.1. So what was the problem in 72? That most of you will think that 21 by 10 should give me 2. It should give me 2. But it is not such in JavaScript. It will be in C, C++ that 21 by 10 will give you 2. But in JavaScript, it will give you exact value. So those who didn't understand, first the division part will be evaluated. So 21 by 10 will result in 2.1, and after that, if I write 3 into 10, it will be evaluated as 30, and if we evaluate all of these, we will be getting 72.1. So if till here it is clear, then please write +1 in the chat, or if there are any doubts, you can write your doubts. Okay, a plus plus and plus plus a के बीच क्या difference है? Okay, so as I told that they are just postfix and prefix operators. Like suppose I define var a is equals to 5 and I write a plus plus, then what a plus plus will do, it will first return the value and then it will change the value of the variable a. So first it will return that, it will return 5 and then it will change it the value to 6. So now if I print a, it will have the value as 6. So this is what a plus plus does. What plus plus a does is that plus plus a will first, it means first it will change the value and then it will return the value. So first it changes and returns 7. So for initially a was 6 and it changed to 7 right here, and now if I again print a, it will remain 7 because there are no such operators to change it again. So a plus plus prints afterwards, first returns the value and then changes the value to +1, and plus plus a first changes the value and then it returns. So I think it should be clear now. Okay, so difference between, okay, double equals and triple equals. Okay, so this is a new thing. Let's suppose okay, so I write 34 equals to 34. Okay, so this should be true. It is simple. But now if I write 34 triple equals to 34, it should also give me true because both have same value, both have the same data type, they are both strings. So it will both will give me true. But now if I use 34 and if I write equals to in numeric form, if I write 34 equals to will give me true. But what will triple equals to result in? Triple equals to, if I write, it will result me in false because what double equals to does, it neglects the data type on both the sides, and triple equals to, it takes into the fact that whether the data type is same and whether the value also on both sides are same. So if both are same, only then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So I think it should be clear now. Okay, so 34 triple equals to 34.00. So you can also see in your console as well. So becoming good in JavaScript, the main thing is to bang your head on the console. So that's what JavaScript requires. So it will return true because 0.00 it will be neglected, and it will simply see it as 34 because 34.00 and 34 are the same thing. Okay. Yes, so this is the Chrome developer tools, and same thing. These are just JavaScript. You can write in the VS Code as well. It's the same thing. Like you can change because we have to change the HTML content. So I'm not writing it now because it will require the DOM property here, which will be covering in the later session part. So let's move on to the next part. Okay, concat string operator. So if I say okay, so this concat string operator works on strings. So plus will concat the two operands if either side of them is a string. And what will other operator do? It will try to convert the string into a numerical value. And if that numerical value is a valid number, then it will operate the it will operate the expression as per the numeric form. Otherwise, it will return NaN, which stands for not a number. So let me show you some examples. Let's clear this. Okay. So what if I write cyber? plus if I write labs, so it will return in cyber labs. So concat string will concatenate both, means it will join both of these strings together and it return in one string, both join. If you want a space in between, so you will have to put a space between the first word and you will again have to do it. So we got one space here. So whatever will be in the first plus whatever will be in the second, that will be concatenated and it will return in the new string. So if I use some numeric forms, cyber plus 45. So both are in the string form. So the first will be followed, plus will concat the two operands. So if both are in, if the first operand is string, and if second is suppose number, then also it will result in a string concatenation because plus will always convert them into a string. What will be different in minus into that it will try to change it in the numeric form. If I write cyber minus 45, it will result in NaN because cyber cannot be converted in numeric form. So that's the difference. So we can have you can solve these questions very fast, quickly. First output, it is very simple. You can write it in the chat. High plus 5, what will it return? Okay, high 5, that's correct. So, okay. So next one, 20 plus 22, what will it return? Okay, 2022. Okay. Okay, so you are right. It will return 2022. If I write 20 plus 22, it's returning me 2022. So that's correct. If I write 14 minus string form 7, what will it return? NaN or 147 or 7, what will it return? NaN, okay. Anyone else? 7, 7, NaN. So NaN and 7 are running equal. Okay, NaN has taken priority. Okay, 7, 7. Now 7 is in the lead. Anyone else? Okay, 7. Okay, so let's see who wins. If I write 14 minus 7. Okay, so 7 wins. So why does it print 7 and not NaN? Because what the second rule says that it will try to convert the string into a numerical value and perform the respective arithmetic operation. If the value inside the course is not a valid number, then the output is NaN, which stands for not a number. So this NaN is only for means 7 can be converted uh, in the numeric form. So I think so that's why it will not be converted into NaN because 7 it converts it into numeric type and it prints 7 here. So the fourth one, can anyone write it in the chat? 14 plus 7 plus 23. 40. I think it should return 43. Someone with me? I think it will return 43. Okay. 44. It's not visible. Okay, I think. Okay, it's 14 plus 7 in numeric and then plus 23 in the string form. Okay, 2123. So that's correct. So what will it do? It will first evaluate the expression 14 plus 7. It gives 21 and then it will return in. Okay, so I think there was 23. Okay, so 14 plus 7, 21, and then it will return me 2123. So those who wrote 2123. So similarly, the next one will be that 23 plus 7. So that will concatenate as, so this will result in 237. And then if I write 14 here, it will concatenate here. So the two of them have a difference whether you're writing from left to right or right to left. So this is the difference. Okay, so let's move on to the data types. So data types, we have almost discussed it. There are two types of data types, primitive and non-primitive. Primitive are like string, number, boolean, null, and undefined. So we can see the type of operator returns the type of a variable or an expression. So if I write type of 22, it will return me number. Now someone was asking that there is a difference between int and float. So JavaScript doesn't differentiate between int and float. If I write 22.56 something 7, it will also return me number. So there is only data type of form number and not int or float or something. So similarly, if I write type of something of string, let's say cyber labs, will return me string. And what is boolean? Boolean is nothing but true or false. Write type of true, it will return me boolean. If I write type of false, it will also return me boolean. So what is null and undefined? So undefined means that the variable has not yet been assigned a value, and null is an assignment value which is purposefully assigned to represent a no value. Like undefined is, suppose I write var x and I leave it like this. So if I write x now, okay, so x is defined previously. So let's suppose I write var z. If I write z here, it will return me undefined. So undefined is something which is given to a variable which has not been defined yet. And null is an assignment value which is assigned to a variable purposefully to represent nothingness, means the variable has been assigned nothing. So you won't be requiring that it as much, but just for knowledge, it is a data type here. And there is a bug in JavaScript. If you write type of null, it will return object. So even I don't know, neither any of the developers in the whole world know why it returns like this. It's just a bug in JavaScript. And the non-primitive types will be discussed now in this session just after this. And JavaScript. So this is already I've discussed. If you if you write let x and then x equals to 5, so now it will return a number. But if you write x equal to John, now x is a string. So JavaScript has dynamic types. The variable can be used to hold different data types and not just one of them. Okay, so okay, this is just a slide for you to know what all peculiarities can be there in JavaScript. So I discussed type of null, it can be object. And if you think there are no reasons for it, it is not true. Some of them have valid reasons, but if I try to discuss it now, it will be very late. So these are some of the peculiarities in JavaScript, only some, there are many like these. So here I can end the first part. So objects will, from here it will be continued by Aarti, who is also a member of Cyber Labs. So over to you, Aarti.
Hello everyone, I am Aarti and I will be taking over from here. I hope I am audible. So let's start with objects in JavaScript. Now, objects are variables that can contain more than one value in the form of key value pairs. So, for example, you can define an object in this manner where then the name of the object and then inside curly braces you can write all the properties, then the colon and the value of the property. For example, name is farmhouse, size is medium, and then there is a property called is veg, which is true. So this is an example of an object in JavaScript. You will notice that the values of these properties can be anything. It could be a Boolean value, it could be a string, or even a number. Now let's see how to access the properties of this object. There are two ways you can access the properties of an object. First is the dot operator. You can start with writing the name of the object followed by dot and then the name of the property. So pizza.name, farmhouse, pizza.size, medium, pizza.isveg, true. Now another method you could use to access the properties is the square bracket notation. Pizza, then in square brackets you can write the property name in string as a string. So name or pizza in strings is veg. Now, after declaring an object, you can still change its properties or add a property. For example, if I say pizza dot price equals to 299. So pizza has already been declared above and I can add this property afterwards. So if I see my pizza object, this property has been added to it. Now, one thing to note is that the second way of accessing the properties, square bracket notations, come into handy when the name of the property does not follow the identifier convention. For example, if the name of the property has space in it. So let me create another object where user and it has a property called full name with a gap in between, space in between. So let it be the other. Now, if I want to access this full name property on this user object, I cannot use the dot operator. If I say user dot full name, I'll get a syntax error. So here I have to use the square bracket notations only. I hope this is clear. Can we change the value of price? Yes, we can. If I say pizza dot price equals to 300, I see pizza. The price is now 300. Ma'am, which topic you are on? I'm currently explaining objects in JavaScript. This is an example of object in JavaScript. It's just like there are data types like there is string, there is Boolean. In similar manner, you also have an object. So I think object is clear. Now moving on to functions in JavaScript. Now functions are basically a block of code designed to perform a certain task when invoked. Now in JavaScript, a function may or may not have parameters. It may or may not return a value. And unlike C and C++, if you have seen functions in C and C++, there is a return type. Like the function is returning an int value or it's returning a float. But in JavaScript, there is no such thing as a return type. Now, in order to declare a function, you have to start by typing the keyword function, then the name of the function. If I name my function fact, then you have to specify the parenthesis, which can contain the parameters if you have. For example, in my function, I have the parameter x. Then inside curly braces, you can write the body of your function. I'm trying to implement a function which calculates the factorial of x. So first of all, I declare a variable called product and initialize its value with 1. Now what I'm going to do is loop over a variable, and starting from 1 to x, I multiply it to this product variable. So I'm looping over 1 to x, and I'm going to multiply this I variable to this product. Product equals to product into I. And this can be written in shorthand as product into equals to I. Then I'm going to return my product. So my function has been declared. One part is declaring a function and the other part is calling that function. You can call a function using the parenthesis at the end of the name. And you can pass on any parameters that you want. For example, if I pass 5, this 5 will be taken over an x, and you will calculate factorial of 5. So you'll get 120. If I say factorial of 4, I'll get 24. Is this clear? Where all to put colon, semicolon? It is not necessary in JavaScript to put semicolon. Okay, functions is clear. So now let's see some built-in functions that are available, such as set timeout and set interval. So set timeout basically is a built-in function which accepts two parameters. Now first is the callback function and the second is time in milliseconds. Now what is a callback function? As you can see, a function in JavaScript can accept a parameter, which can be a string, it can be a Boolean value, it can be anything. So when a function is passed as a parameter to another function, it is called a callback function. So now what setTimeout does is that it calls this callback function after the specified time once. For example, if I say set timeout, it is going to accept two parameters. First is a callback function. Basically, we are just passing a function definition into this, which it is going to call after a specified period of time. So I can define my function in the manner that I had declared here. Function, in parentheses the parameters, and then the curly braces the body. And I'm going to call this function after 5 seconds or 5,000 milliseconds. Inside this function, I'm just going to call an alert saying 5 seconds have passed. So I get this alert after 5 seconds. You may notice that this it is returning. This set timeout is returning some value, and this value is actually the ID. It returns an ID which we can use to clear this timeout. There's a method called clear timeout. In this clear timeout method, we can pass on the ID which will clear this timeout. Now, similar to set timeout, there is another function available called set interval. It also accepts two parameters, and similarly, first one is the callback function, and the second one is the time in milliseconds. Now, however, set interval is going to call the callback function at regular intervals of the time specified. Like set timeout only executed this function once, but set interval is going to execute that function at the intervals of the time specified, and it will also return an ID. So if since it is going to return an ID, I'm going to store it in a variable called ID. Set interval. First parameter is a callback function. The second parameter is the time in milliseconds after which the callback function is called. So I'll say after every 1 second, you call this callback function, in which I am just going to console.log howdy. So as you can see, after every second, this howdy is being consoled out. Now there is a method called clear interval, which accepts the ID of the interval, ID returned by the interval, and it clears that interval because we need to stop this interval at some point. So I have stored it in the variable called ID, and I'm passing it inside this clear interval. If I do that, now this consoling is stopped. Is this clear to everyone? What a callback function is. Callback function is basically just a function. Now, in a function, you can have parameters, and a parameter could be anything. It could be a Boolean type, it could be a string, it could be an object. Similarly, when you pass a function as a parameter to another function, that function is called a callback function. Callback function is a function calling a function itself. Basically, set interval is a function, and it's accepting a function as a parameter. And when a parameter is a function, that function is called callback function. Okay, it is clear. So um, let me give an example. Set timeout console.log 5 seconds have passed, and I'm going to call this after 5 seconds. Now, can you tell what will happen if I hit enter? Write in the chat box. What will happen? What do you expect? It's a set timeout. It won't repeat after 5 seconds. Set timeout executes the function only once. Okay, if I hit enter, yes, ID did come, but also the message did not show after 5 seconds. It showed just as I hit enter. Now, this is because I told you that set timeout accepts two parameters. The first one was a function definition, not a function call. And since I called a function inside the first parameter, it will execute obviously. It's not a function definition. For example, if there is a function and let's say I call console.log howdy inside of it. When I hit enter, it will not console.log because this is just a function definition. It's not calling anything. Uh, Oops. Sample. So this function will not call this howdy is not printed because this is just a function definition. It's not calling something. But and if I call example now, then this console.log is executed. However, if I just console.log, it's a function call. It's not a function definition. So it's it's consoled out. That is why in set timeout, the first parameter is expected to be a function definition, not a function call. And since I called console.log here, it did not wait for the specified period of time. Is this clear? Um, I'll just repeat it once again. This set timeout and the set interval methods, the first parameter that it is accepting is a function definition. For example, if I declare a function example in which inside whose body I have written console.log howdy, if I just hit enter, it's just a function definition. Nothing is called here, so it did not return me anything. But when I call this function, howdy was printed out. However, if instead of this function definition, I just call console.log howdy, howdy will be consoled out. So in set timeout, the first parameter that you're passing is a definition of the function. Like over here, this was a function definition. Nothing was called here. So it will call this function after the time specified. However, in this example, I consoled I consoled out this message and I did not pass any function definition. Is it clear now? All right. So we can move forward. Now you have seen objects whose properties were strings, whose properties were numbers, or whose properties were Boolean. Now objects can also have properties whose value are a function. For example, let's say where person equals to, this is my object. I'm just declaring an object with a property first name, as Arthi, and the last name as Yadav. Now we have seen that the property could be a string, a boolean, as well as a number. Now I am going to declare a property whose value is a function. This function can access other properties of that object on which it is called using the this keyword. So if I write it's a function which can access these properties using the this keyword, so I can return this this dot first name. This is just a keyword. It's a predefined keyword, and right now you can understand it like it is able to give you access to other properties of the same object, though it's more complex than that, but for now you can understand it like that. So it is going to I'm going to return this dot first name. I got Aarti. Then I'm going to concatenate it. Since this is a string, I can concatenate it with for other strings, a space, and plus this dot last name. So now this is going to return me Aarti Yadav. This should return me Aarti Yadav. So I've declared my object person. I can just, as usually, access the first name with a dot notation, person dot last name. Now, if I type person dot full name, if I type that and hit enter, it is going to give me the function definition. Because obviously this full name, it's what? It's a function definition. I have not called that function. It's just a definition right now. If I say person dot full name and I call that function, how you call a function? You just add these parentheses at the end. If I call this function, it's going to return me Aarti Yadav. Can we just write first name plus last name? No, we will not be able to access the first name and last name over there from inside the object itself. Is this clear? Let me try it out. I'm not writing this dot first name. I'm just writing first name plus last name. But this does not know whose first name it is on which it is called. It should not give me person dot full name. Person dot full name. If I call it reference error, first name is not defined. Basically, it's not defined. If you need to define it, you need to use the this keyword, which gives you access to which gives you access to other properties of that object. So now let's move to arrays in JavaScript. So arrays are basically objects. But in objects, you saw that we had the values in the form of key value pairs, and the key could be anything. However, in arrays, the key is fixed as whole numbers, like it is indexed 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Also, it is important to note that arrays in JavaScript are not necessarily homogeneous, meaning that you could have a string, a Boolean, object, different data types in the same array itself. Now let's just declare a array of fruits. So we have an array in square brackets, and you can write the elements of the array separated by commas. Now, arrays have a property, built-in property called length, which returns the length of the array. If I say fruits.length, it is going to return me 3, since there are 3 elements inside this array right now. And you can access the elements of the array using the okay. Is it okay now? Okay, so let's start over once again. I had declared this fruits variable having the elements as melon, apple, and orange, and these are comma separated. Now we have a method built-in property called length, and which returns the length or the size of the array. If I say fruits.length, it is going to give me 5 right now. Okay, since this I was freezed out, I'm redeclaring my variable again and starting over. So if I write fruits.length, it is going to return 3 since there are 3 elements in it right now. And you can access all the elements of this array using the index. Like if I say fruits 0, it will give me the 0th index element. This is the 0th index element. This is the first index element. This is the second. So fruits 0 will give me melon. Fruits 1 will give me apple. And fruits 2 will give me orange. Now, as you saw in objects, after declaring the object, we can still change its property or add its properties. So similarly in arrays also, if I say fruits 4, I can change it. Fruits 4, let's say it is lemon. Fruits, fruits, lemon. Now if I see my fruits array, lemon has been added at the 4th index. Now what JavaScript does is whatever is left empty in between is filled with empty, and it counts as the counts in the length of the array. So if I say fruits.length now, it is going to return me 5. It is counting this empty as well. So if I say fruits 100 um, equals to, let's say, some fruit. Now what do you think the length of this fruits array has become? What if we call fruits 3? Fruits 3. It's undefined because there's nothing at that location right now. Yes, it will be 101. If I say fruits dot length, it's 101 now because I have defined a 100th index. Some are saying 100. You can just see in this fruits array, the size was 5 and you are starting the index from 0. So the last index is 4. If I have declared the 100th index, the length of the fruits array will be 101. Okay, now let me redeclare my fruits variable. Um, let's say we have melon, we have strawberry, apple, and orange. So now there are some built-in methods that you can call on the arrays. The first of these built-in methods we can see is sort. Fruits dot sort. This is a method. This was a property. We did not call it because it's not a function. Now we have some built-in methods. Methods. What are methods? Basically, they are just function that you can call on some array or on some objects. So since this is a function, we are calling it. So if I call fruits.sort, it is going to sort this array alphabetical in alphabetical order. And if I type my fruits array, it has been changed. So basically, fruits.sort is changing my original array. Such methods that change the original array are called destructive methods. Okay, so now there is a method called push. If I say fruits.push and I insert lemon, now what push does, it inserts this new element at the end of the array and it returns the size of the new array. Push is also a destructive method. So it's pushing lemon at the end of the array and it's returning the size of the new array. Earlier, the size of the array was 4 and now it has become 5. If I see my fruits array, lemon has been added at the end. There's a method called pop. Now this is going to remove the last element from the array and it is going to return the popped out element. So it is going to here return lemon because it is the last element which is being popped out. And if I check my fruits array now, lemon is not there anymore. Now similar to here we are pushing at the end and popping at the end. Now similar to it we have a method called fruits dot we have a method called unshift. Unshift is going to add the element that we specify here at the beginning of the array. So if I say lemon again and check my fruits array, lemon has been added in the beginning of the array. Also fruits dot unshift is going to return the size of the fruits after pushing this. So the new size of the array is 5 now. So it is returning 5. There is a method called shift. Shift is basically similar to pop and it is going to remove an element from the starting of the array and it is going to return the removed element. So it is going to return me lemon and if I check my fruits array, lemon has been removed from the starting. So all the methods that I showed right now shift, unshift, pop, push, and sort. All these, sorry, all these methods were changing the original array. Now let's look at some methods that are non-destructive. There is a method called fruits dot join. There's a method called dot join. What this does is it it's joining all the elements of the array separated by some symbol that we can specify inside this join. Let me say question mark. So it's going to return me a string where all the elements of the array are concatenated and they are separated by the symbol that we have specified here. So I could say fruits dot join, let's say comma separated. So I'm getting this. It's not changing the original array in any sense. It's as it is. Now there is a method called slice. Fruits dot slice. What this slice does is, as the name suggests, it is going to slice out an array, and it accepts two parameters. First is the starting index, and the second is the ending index of the sliced out array. So if I say 1 comma 3, it is just giving me melon and orange. The starting index was 1, so it should have started here, and 3 0 1 2 3, it should have ended here. So basically it does not include, it excludes the ending index and it includes the starting index. So if I just add some more elements towards the end, grape dot push banana, and if I say fruits dot slice, let's say 2 to 4 or 2 to 5, it's giving me orange, strawberry, and grape. Starting from the okay, let me just show you the fruits array. The fruits array is this right now, and fruits dot slice 2 to 5 gave me this output. So the second index is orange, and the fifth index is banana, but it's not including the fifth index. It excludes the fifth index. So orange, strawberry, and grape is returned. Now the slice array is non-destructive and it does not change the fruits array. As we can see now, after slice, I have printed out this fruits array and it's still as it is. So are all the methods clear? Okay, so we can start with iterating over an array. Now we have an array and we want to iterate over it. So you could just put a for loop in it. That is one way to iterate over an array and access the elements. Or we could use a for each method. Now let's see about for each method. Fruits dot for each. Now this for each method accepts a parameter. It accepts a callback function. And for each element of this fruits array, for each element of the fruits array, this callback function will be called, passing the array element and its index as parameters. So if I have my callback function, for every element of this fruits, this function is going to be called. And this function will have the parameter, two parameters, the item or the element, and the index of that element. And you can here name it as anything you want. You do not have to specify item and index as specifically. You can just put in or item. And what I am going to do in the body is I'm going to console log the item plus concatenate, or actually I'll just say index, concatenate it with this string and then the item. I So it's printing out 0 apple, 1 melon, 2 orange, 3 strawberry, and so on. For every fruits element, this function has been called, and this function has received the item as well as its index. Now, there is another method called map. Now, the map method also accepts a callback function. Now it returns a new array. The map method returns a new array. And what will happen is for every element of this fruits array, the callback function is called by passing the element and its index, just as we did in for each. And whatever this callback function returns will become the part of new array. For example, if I say function, actually let me declare another uh, array of numbers. 1, 4, 5, 18. And if I apply dot map method on this array num and I pass a callback function which has access, which have parameters, the item and the index. Whatever this function returns will become part of the new array that this map method is returning. So I'll just return item into 2. So this map method returned me a new array in which the each element was double that of in the nums array. Is the map method or the for each method clear? And the for each method. Are the two methods clear? Basically, the first element is the element that you're going to receive, and the second is index. You can call it whatever you want. All right. If it is clear, let me give you a question. For example, I have an array of objects. Now, array can have anything in it. Now, I'm creating an array of objects called products. So it's an array, and I have objects in them. Let's say it has a property ID. It has a name of, let's say, car. Name is car, and let's say price is 1,000. Let me duplicate this. So I have this array of products, and each element here is an object. Now, what I want is I need an array where I just need the name of the products. I just need something like car, bike, Harry, and Potter. So I just need an array with the name of the products. Now, how do I get this array from this products array using the map method? I'll wait for a few minutes. You can type the code in your chat in the chat box. Yes, we have to use the map method. Is there any role of indentation in JavaScript? Just for the looks, it looks clean. Did you understand the problem? Write something in the chat box. Is it clear or is it not clear? Should I say repeat it again? Okay, I'll just repeat it once again. Basically, we have this for each and map method. In for each, we are passing a function where for every element of this fruits array, or whatever the array on which I'm calling the for each method, for each element, this function will be called, and this function can will receive the item as well as the index of that element. For example, here the fruits array, first this function will be called for this apple element, passing on item as apple and index as 0. And it is consoling.log index, that is 0, then dot the item. So 0 dot apple is printed out. Then for the next element, melon, the same function is being called and the item melon is being passed to it. You can call it whatever you want. And the index 1 is being passed as the second parameter. So what is being consoled is 1 dot then melon. And similarly for every element, this is being followed. And in map method, it is similar to for each, but what this map does is it is returning a new array, and the contents of the new array are whatever this function is returning. Now my question is, I have a variable products, it's an array, and it's an array of objects. Each element inside this array is an object having a property id, a name, and a price. Now from this products array, I just want an array having the name of the objects. Like this product has a name of car, this product has a name of bike, so I just want an array containing the names, not the complete object, product object. You can get this using the map method. Okay, I can see one. Never mind. Are you guys trying? Array dot products. Products is already an array. Why are you writing arrays dot from products? Dot for each items in index console dot log. Okay, you are consoling dot log the item, the name of the item. I want a new array. If you saw the difference between for each is just executing this function and I'm just consoling dot log something. However, in map, it is returning me a new array. It's returning me a new array with with the uh, elements that was returned here. Okay, let me explain the solution. I can apply the map method over here because I want a new array, and map is returning me a new array. It is going to accept a callback function, and it receives two parameters here. Just as I told before, first is the element of the array. Element of which array? The array products on which this map method is called. So I am getting this, I can call it product, a single product. And what this product is representing, it's just a element of this products array. Matlab, this product is representing this whole object with id 1, name, car, and price 1000. The second parameter that I receive here is the index of the element of this products array. That is, zeroth index will be passed and this whole object will be passed to product. Inside it, what I want to return is, I want to return product dot name. This will constitute the element of the new array that this map method is returning. Let me store it in where only names equals to products dot map. And if I hit enter and see only names, I have a new array in which each element is just the name of the product. And if I see my original products array, it remains unchanged, where each element is an object. If you see, the first object is this, the second object is this, third object is this, and so on. Was this clear? All right. You can see these slides later on. Now let's start with strings in JavaScript. So a JavaScript string is basically zero or more characters written inside the codes. And you have already seen a string. So let me just declare one. I have this string and it's declared as movie. Now there are a few built-in properties on a string that you can use. Movie.length, if you type, it's going to return the length of the movie. It is going to return me the length of the movie. And you can access each character using the square bracket notation. Like if you type movie 0, It is going to give me the character at 0th index. These are also indexed, like this is 0th index, this is first index, second, and so on. If you type movie 1, you're gonna get A. If you type something which is out of bounds, like say -1, it's going to return me undefined. Since the length of the movie was 40, if I type something such as 42, it's also going to give me undefined. Now there are some methods that we can call on strings. First of all, there is index of method. If I say movie dot index of, let's say A, what it does is it is going to return the index of A. And since there are many A's that are present inside the string, it is going to give the first index, first reference of A, which is at the first index. If I say movie dot index at, index of, if I say ER, now there are two occurrences of ER in the string, over here and over here. Now this is going to return me the first occurrence. First occurrence, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. At 10th index, this ER is starting, so it is going to return me 10. Similarly, there is a method called last index of. If I say last index of A, returning me the last occurrence of A, and the last occurrence of A is somewhere here. And since the length is 40, so this must be 39th index, and this is 38th index. If I say movie dot last index of ER, so it is going to give me this index, that is 27. You can check that later. Now there is a method called slice, and it is similar to the slice method that we saw in arrays. So if I say movie dot slice, it is also going to slice out the string, and it accepts the two parameters. First is the starting index, second is the ending index. And the ending index over here is also not included. So if I say 1, 2, 5, I'm getting array. The fifth index was this space, and which is not included here. Now there is another method called substr. It is also going to give me a substring. It's also slicing out, but the parameters that it receives, it accepts, is different. It accepts two parameters. First is the starting index, where you want to start from, and the second is not the last index up to where you have to go. Second is the length of the string that you want, starting from the first starting index. If I say 5 over here as well, I'm getting array, and this is space as well. So it's starting from 1 and giving me 5 characters. Starting from the first index and giving me 5 characters. Now there is a method called replace. It accepts two parameters, what you have to replace and what you have to replace it with. If I say replace ER with RE, it's not going to replace every occurrence of ER with RE. It's just going to replace the first occurrence of ER. So if I hit enter, it's giving me RE over here, and ER is still intact over here. Also, if you just type movie, nothing is changed. So original string is not affected by these methods. Now there is a method called trim. Let's just declare another string called example, and we have a lot of spaces in the beginning. Then let's say something text and the spaces at the end. What this trim does is it removes or it trims out any space in the beginning of the string and towards the end of the string. If I say example dot trim and I call this method, it's just giving me test because it has removed the space at the beginning and at the end. There is another method called concat. If I say example dot concat, let's say concat is good. What This method is going to concat this string at the end of the example string. String concatenation you have already seen. Now let's start with DOM. DOM is document object model. Now what is DOM? Once the HTML document is loaded in the browser creates an object which models the HTML page called the document object. So this was the HTML page that we worked on in the first session. If I just type document here, this refers to this whole HTML page. This is an object created by the browser which refers to the whole HTML page. And the DOM tree is just a hierarchical manner of representing this page. That you have roots, you have the element, body, and this is a parent, these are the children, and so on. Now there are two things that we want. Basically, our goal is to we want to interact the HTML page from our JavaScript code to do things like change the style, content, attributes, or add or delete the classes, or add or delete the elements. So in order to achieve this goal, we need to select and manipulate. Select the HTML element and manipulate it. Now let's start by selecting elements. We can select elements by their tag name, class name, or ID. If you see inside this element, we have a lot of p tags over here. This is a p tag. Then we have this p tag, p tag. For some reason, let's say we want all these p tags. We want to select all these p tags. So I can store it in a variable, and I'll say document dot. We have a method called get element by tag name, and I can pass the tag name inside it. I want the p tag. Now let's see p. Now this get elements by tag name returns an HTML collection containing all the P's tags that we had in this HTML page. Now HTML collection is similar to an array. It is an array-like object. However, it is not completely an array. So all the methods that we saw on array may not be applicable on an HTML collection. However, we can access the zeroth index like this. Oh, sorry. The zeroth index like this, the first index like this, which is giving me this p tag, and so on. We can also use p dot length to see that there are 4 p tags. Now to see how to select element using class name, uh, we have some ul elements over here, and all the li items that we had have a class name of list element. All these elements have a class name of list element. Even in the ol tag, we have the li elements having the class name as list elements. Now let's select these by the class name. Document dot, we have the method get element by class name, and we can pass the class that we want. Class is list element. I guess that was the class name. Yeah. So if you see li, it's an HTML collection having 12 elements because there are 12 li's over here, and over here. You can also select an element using ID. Now this p tag at the top has an ID of heading. For if you want to select just that, I can say var heading equals to document dot get element by ID. And you can see here we have written only element because ID is unique and we will get just one element and will not receive an HTML collection. If I say heading, so we have this element, we have got hold of this p tag. And it's not returning, it is returning an individual element. Now this was selection techniques. Now how do we manipulate it? We can start by changing the content, inner text versus inner HTML. Okay, we have got hold of this p tag and called it heading. So let's change its inner text. There is a method called inner text. And if I just hit enter, it is going to give me just the text of that p element, inner text, which says this. If you want to manipulate it, I can just say heading dot inner text is equals to howdy. So this is earlier whatever was written is now replaced with howdy. Now let's say, for example, I want that this howdy should be bold, and I just put something like this: heading dot inner text equals to howdy, and inside bold tag I put howdy. So what do you expect will happen? We can see that howdy did not get bold. Instead, this was treated as a text. And this is the difference between inner text and inner HTML. If we want this to be treated as an HTML, we should access heading dot inner HTML. And if I just type the same thing down, now I have this howdy in bolds. Now let's see about changing attributes. How to change an attribute. We have this anchor tab over here. Let's select this anchor tag and change its attribute, href attribute, to some other URL. We can select this anchor tag using document. Also, to select in for selection technique, you could also use document dot query selector. Query selector all. Uh, what this query selector all receives, accepts, is inside this quotation mark. You could put the tag name if you want all the elements of the given tag. If I do that, I'm going to get a node list of A's, all the A tags. There are two A tags over here, and I'm going to receive a node list of these A tags. This is also an array-like object. Like earlier, we got an HTML collection of elements, and here we are getting node list of elements. This is also similar to array, and you could access it using 0th index and the first index. Now, for example, if we want to select all the elements with a tag name, so earlier we used got element by tag. Here we just put a inside it if you want to select by tag. If you want to select by class name, earlier we used get element by class name. Over here I can put a dot followed by the class name, that was class list, class element, that was the name of element. Oops, sorry, the name of the class was list element. So we can also select all the classes, elements of the class list element using query selector all, and putting a dot in the beginning representing that this is a class. If you wanted to select by ID, you could put a hash symbol in the beginning. Since there is no ID with called list element over here, it is just returning empty list. But there is an ID of heading. There was an ID of heading. So if I say hash heading, I'm going to get this. Document dot query selector. Also, if you just wanted to select only one instead of all, you could just put query selector and do the same thing. So I want the first A. This is going, if there are multiple A's, it is going to return the first A. because it returns a single element. If I see A, we have got hold of this. I want to change its href property to some other URL. Right now it's going to Google. So I'll just say a.href equals to and the name of the URL. Let's say I'll just take this. If I click on this now, it is going to open Cyberlab's website. So this is how you can change an attribute on any element of the HTML page. Okay, so we can also change the CSS. Let's say we want to, we already had this heading variable representing the first p tag. Now, for example, I want to change its color. I want to change its CSS. Whatever CSS style you want to access, it is available under the style property. On any element, you can put element.style and you will get all the properties, CSS properties. You can see that later on your own. So if I say heading dot style, there's a property called color and I want to change it. And let's say I want to change it to red. So now this has changed color to red. In this way, you can change CSS using the style attribute. Now let's see how to remove and add classes. Inside the head tag, I have this style tag containing the CSS for a class dark. And basically it's not applied yet to any tags, but this class has a background color of black and a color of white. Now I want to apply this class on the body tag. So I first need to get hold of the body tag. I can do that using var body equals to document dot query selector. I can pass the tag name. I just want the tag name body. So I have got hold of this. Now I want to add a class to it. Now all the classes on any HTML element can be accessed using the dot class list property. So I can say body dot class list. On this property, now I can have three methods are available on this. One is dot add, one is dot remove, and one is dot toggle. Okay. So right now, if I just say body dot class list, there is no value because there is no class applied on this body tag. So if I say body dot class list dot add, it is going to add a class to it. And I say specified dark inside it. So it's going to add this dark class to the body tag. And as you can see, the background has turned black and the text is now white because this dark class has been applied on the body tag. If I want to remove it, I can just say body dot class list dot remove and this dark. What toggle does is if the class specified is already present, it is going to add it, it is going to remove it, and if it's not present, it's going to add it. Is this clear till now? So we have reached the end of the session, and if you have any doubt, you can write in the chat box. Can we write entire CSS, JavaScript, and HTML in one file? Yes, you can write. But for making it clean, or when there is a lot of CSS and a lot of JavaScript, you separate those files. Yes, session is over. If you have any doubts, you can write. But we didn't learn how to make a website alive. You can search about it, about JavaScript events. Events are basically like a click event or an on-change event. You can see about that.
Okay, guys. Thank you for your present. It was a really great session. Have a nice day. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you.